What's going on YouTube? So there are more mid-sized trucks on the market, which is why it's important to keep adding more and more varieties as well. And for 2026, Nissan is adding a slew of changes to their V6 truck, including this new dark armor trim level, which is super value packed. So, is this the mid-sized truck to buy? Well, let's go ahead and find out. Let's get things started with a quick spec dump. So under the hood of every Frontier is a 3.8 liter V6 engine making 310 horsepower. It's paired to a 9-speed automatic transmission, and with the available 4-wheel drive system, the combined fuel economy is 19 mpg.
Now the base price this year is $32,000, and if you're looking to buy a Frontier or any vehicle, we'd encourage you to check out carconfections.com/newcarquotes to get the best price. Now of course we're going to take it out for a spin to show you the performance of that V6, but first we need to go ahead and shut up the hood and take a look at this new exterior as well as what you get on the inside.
So let's jump right in with what some of those big changes this year are, and that's the fact that the SL trim level has been eliminated from the lineup, and in its place instead we have this. So this is the SV with the dark armor package. This is a very appealing package which adds a lot of things, including this blacked out grille up here in the front. So you get the full gloss black finish for a very sporty look, and I think it really pops if you pair it with a vivid paint color such as this blue. Now you got the little bit of white logo here with the Nissan, and then coming over here to our headlights, here's another improvement this year. We actually have upgraded all trim levels to projector LED headlights this year. So that steps you up from previously where you had halogen headlights or reflector LEDs. You have your incandescent turn signal right there, and then the Pro 4X models will come with LED fog lights. As we walk around to the back, this trim also includes a few sporty elements in the rear.
Yeah, and let's break down what those sporty elements are. Well, as you can see, Frontier is stamped into the tailgate, but we do actually have black lettering as well. And let's take a look at our taillights, because that's a highlight of this vehicle. It makes it feel very premium, and you have full LED taillights standard across the entire board. That includes your brake light, your turn signal, and your reverse light. And then as we drop down to the lower fascia, this is going to be matte black and some body color, and your tow capacity is up to 7,150 pounds. But what about the bed? In order to open it up, you just pull this little lever right here. You have a standard dampened tailgate, and let's talk about the bed itself. This is the 5-foot option. As you can see, we also have a bed liner, as well as a couple tie downs on the side. There's some Frontier branding, and the payload is coming in at around 1,480 pounds as a maximum. They have also included this little side step here, and that's going to allow you to really easily be able to get in and out of the bed.
Now, this truck has quite a bit of standard ground clearance. You're looking at 9.5 inches. And as far as your wheel selections, you have 16 or 17-inch alloys to pick from. The dark armor is going to give you the 17-inch gloss black alloy. As you can see, looks quite nice, matches with the grille. Moving on up here to our badge, you have the dark armor. We have a gloss black finish for our mirrors. Blind spot monitoring will be standard equipment on all Frontiers this year, and you can also get available heating.
Now you might be wondering how you can get the Frontier and what different bed and cab configurations there are. This right here is probably the most common configuration. This is the crew cab with the 5-foot bed. You can also get a long bed if you'd prefer that, and there's also a king cab version with a shortened door back here. Now when it comes to overall vehicle length, it's around 210 inches for this version. And as far as design choices, I do want to point out there's a new color. It's called Citrus Strike, and that's going to be available on the Pro models for 2026. It's a very bright yellow option. Now when it comes to active safety features, you get 3 out of 4 of those as standard equipment, and you do also have things like lane departure warning. It's just not active. But let's go ahead and check out the inside. But first, if you're new here, we're brothers, and we've been reviewing cars since we were 12
and 16. We started young, and since then we've reviewed over 2,000 cars at every price point.
No matter what you're looking for, from our long-term vehicle videos to our side-by-side comparisons, we'd love for you to subscribe to be a part of our Car Confections family.
Let's learn a lot and have some fun with all the latest cars. All right, now on to the inside. First, here is our key fob. Typical Nissan design, you have a keyless entry system as standard equipment. Remote start is included now for 2026 on the Pro 4X as a standard feature. We have it as part of the new all-weather package on this version. And then opening up the door, of course, we continue with that signature Frontier design. And we'll move first to the seats because there is an adjustment they've made as well. So as you can see, it is a cloth seat. That's actually what's standard on all three trim levels of the Frontier, but you can get an available leather seat on the Pro models. Now, what's new though is the fact that they've expanded availability of the power adjusting seat. So we've got the 8-way power adjusting seat with 2-way lumbar support that's now on the SV trim level for 2026 and above. Let's go ahead and climb inside. Closing up the door, we can look around the cabin materials. They're quite good for this mid-level value-packed trim level. You'll notice over here on the door trim, you have the leatherette covering for your armrest, nicely padded, and through the center section as well. It is a hard touch plastic though across the top. As we move to the upper dashboard, most of this is finished in a hard touch plastic, but you do have a leatherette in the center section with a stitching detail. As we move down to the lower panels, these will be finished in hard touch. You have little handlebars through there and a little bit of P&O black accenting. Everything does feel nice and solid and durable as well. Let's fire it up with the push button start. Let's jump right in with the gauge cluster. As you can see, classic Nissan design where you have the analog setup and then the center 7-inch display that you can change to a few different designs, including gauges like your off-road gauge. Moving back to the steering wheel, most models will come with this leather-wrapped steering wheel with stitching detail. It is manual tilt and telescoping, and new for 2026, heating is now standard on the Pro models and available on the lower examples, such as this one. Now, let's turn over here to interior storage next. Pop open our center console. Inside, you'll see some donuts for our signature donut test, and it fits a pretty good amount. 14 donuts to be exact, so does sail past that dozen donuts to pass the test. We have a little storage cubby right through there, more storage up in front, and then you get your 2 cup holders in the center section. As far as the shifter is concerned, just a traditional style shifter, nothing complicated about this. Pull back for drive. You can also shift manually, no paddle shifters, of course. As we go into reverse, here is your standard backup camera. So most models are going to get this. Resolution is a bit grainy, but we do have active trajectory and guidelines. If you want a 360 camera, you can option that on, but you got to choose the Pro models. There is not an electronic parking brake, so you have the foot activated style. Another way the Frontier kind of keeps it old school, which is honestly refreshing for a lot of mid-sized truck shoppers. 4-wheel drive controls are located right there, and I want to draw your attention to this right here. We have a brand new drive mode controller for 2026. You'll see these buttons through here where you can reconfigure your different things. I like this because it's a little bit more low profile than what it was before. Moving into the center section, we have a dual zone automatic climate system on today's tester with the all-weather package. That is going to be standard now for 2026 on the Pro models. And additionally, heated seats are now standard for 2026 on the Pro models and added in that all-weather package for this SV Dark Armor. Moving on from the climate controls, the next place to come to is your audio panels. Again, all full physical controls. You also have a volume knob to control either a 4, 6, or 10 speaker sound system. This middle trim comes with the 6 speaker option. Let's hear a sample. Overall sound quality of this system is totally fine. I think it fills up this cab just well enough. Of course, you can upgrade to the better sound system, the Fender sound system, optionally on the Pro if you really enjoy audio. All right, let's zero in on the main display. So one of the things that Nissan did with the refresh of this Frontier recently was upgrade the technology experience. So SV and Pro models will come with this 12.3-inch display as standard equipment. Gives you plenty of space to deal with. You have wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto when you have this display, and the base model will come with an 8-inch display instead. Up top, we have the manual dimming mirror. You also notice that we do not have a sunroof, but one is available if you choose the fully loaded model.
All right, but let's check out the rear seats of the Crew Cab Frontier. Now, let's first and foremost start by talking about the rear specs. So what we're looking at is 33.2 inches of legroom, 38.6 inches of headroom. Now, that's not going to be a ton of space, although it is very much on par with its main rival, the Toyota Tacoma, in terms of rear room. Now, I'm 5'9" for reference. This seat is adjusted to Drew, who's 5'8", and I brought along the official Car Confections ruler. The reason we do that is so we can get a realistic knee room figure for you, and what we're looking at is 7 inches, so it's not a ton of space, but it's enough for most people, that's for sure. Now, my feet can slide up underneath of the seats, and speaking of the seats, I really actually love these seats. Yes, they're cloth, but these are super soft and supportive, so I think you'll like them over longer distances. We can fold down the center armrest. There's 2 cup holders inside, and I also want to point out that we have a standard rear glass that opens up here in the rear. Now, you have USB ports right here in the center, no vents, but the USB ports are included on SV and up. And then over on the door trim, you have hard touch upper part. However, the entire center section is a leatherette, and you have a leatherette pad as well. And then there's a little bit of door storage down in the bottom. We're not done yet with storage though, because you can actually lift up the seats as well. And when you do that, that's going to allow you this entire underfloor storage area that does actually have sides on it as well, so things are not going to roll around. Well, guys, here we are behind the wheel of the 2026 Nissan Frontier. In this test drive, we're going to be discussing quite a lot, as you can see on the screen right now. But first and foremost, let's go ahead and start with a hard acceleration.
All right. That takes us up to 60 miles an hour. So when it comes to the Frontier, of course, one of the strong elements of this midsize truck is the fact that it has a 3.8-liter naturally aspirated V6 engine. It's standard on all the models, even the base trim. And of course, that's something that has become rare over the years. You know, many of the rivals are eliminating the V6 or just putting it on maybe a top spec example. This has it again on all trims. 310 horsepower, 281 pound-feet of torque. So they're very healthy power figures as well. It gets you to 60 a little over 7 seconds, and sounds pretty good while doing it too. Absolutely. I think that's certainly something that I miss in this mid-size truck segment. You know, you have rivals like the Colorado. They have powerful 4-cylinders, that and the Tacoma, but you don't have the refinement and the grunt of that V6 engine. And really, to have this as standard equipment on more basic trim levels like this, I think is a really big benefit, because 310 horsepower is going to be more than what you would get on an equivalent, you know, Toyota Tacoma, for instance. You certainly wouldn't be able to get the iForce Max hybrid system at that price point. So this is going to be more power than that Turbo 4, which comes in around 275 horsepower. Yeah, just very nice and smooth. Now, as far as the other element of the powertrain, we've got a 9-speed automatic transmission. That's another thing that's nice and smooth. It works super well with the overall powertrain refinement. And of course, you also have available 4-wheel drive on all models, which we do actually have optioned onto this version. And let's go ahead and get things like our sound level reading so you can see how quiet this Frontier is. We have it on fan speed 1, and let's see how it compares to other midsize trucks. Very good. 54 decibels is what we are sitting at as our sound level reading, going 55 miles per hour. Now, I don't sit here and guess how it compares to its rivals. I can find that on our website, carconfections.com. And pulling that up, that does mean it is going to be quieter than main rivals such as the Toyota Tacoma that we have tested out, as well as also the Chevy Colorado. So that is pretty impressive, I must say. Although I did hear a little bit of wind noise, it sounds like the overall cabin, no tire noise or anything like that is entering in. Now, you might be wondering about fuel economy as compared to some of those turbo 4-cylinder rivals. We top out at 21 miles per gallon combined with the 2-wheel drive version. It goes down to 19 miles per gallon if you choose 4-wheel drive, and the Pro models are rated at 18 because they are sitting a little bit taller off the ground and they have those different tire and wheel setups. Overall, that's not going to be fantastic fuel economy, but really it's not half bad, especially for getting that V6 refinement. All right, let's get into today's slam dunk and airball. I will start with the slam dunk. I think that's got to be this new SV Dark Armor. I think this is a fantastic addition to the lineup. You know, previously, if you chose the SV, you'd get a good price point, right? But maybe it was missing some of the features that you wanted, and it didn't have a very attractive looking design. Well, this really remedies that, gives you that athletic, sporty design that looks a lot like the Pro 4X, gives you a lot of the features that you'd want, but you don't have to spend the big bucks because it doesn't also come with a bunch of features that you don't want.
Yeah, absolutely. I couldn't have said that any better. Now, on the flip side, the airball is just going to be, this Frontier is certainly on the older side. You know, they have refreshed this model to get it, you know, the latest and greatest technology. However, I will say certain elements definitely still show that this is on an older vehicle platform. That may be a good thing for those of you that like the traditional truck feel, but for those of you that want the latest and greatest, the Tacoma and Colorado will feel a lot more modern. But what about ride quality with the Frontier? Well, as you can see, demonstrated by hitting that bump in the road, we do have, you know, pretty good ride quality, although this is a body-on-frame truck at the end of the day. That does give you, of course, more off-road capability than some of the unibody options that you could be looking at this more affordable price point. It does mean it has slightly worse ride quality, but overall, it's pretty solid. It feels very much on point with the main rivals, such as Tacoma and Colorado. And when it comes to these seats, I do have, you know, to mention that these cloth seats are super comfortable. Typically with the cheaper trim levels, you get a hard, uncomfortable seat. That is not the case here. These seats are really, really soft. They're probably Nissan zero gravity seats, so that's probably why they're so good, but they are really, really nice.
Yeah, Nissan knows how to do seats.
But what about pricing? That's one of the most attractive areas for this Frontier because we have a much lower price than a lot of its main competition. So we start at $32,150 as the base price. The SV is $36,190 and the Pro models begin at $38,570. That's not much of a price increase at all for 2026, despite all of the equipment differences. Now, what we have is a very popular configuration. It's a value-packed one. We have the SV Crew Cab, four-wheel drive, the Dark Armor package as well. We additionally have the all-weather package, $1,745 destination, plus accessories. We're sitting at $44,135 as tested. And if you're curious as to where it's assembled, it is in Mississippi. If you're looking to buy a Nissan Frontier or any vehicle, we'd encourage you to check out carconfections.com/newcarquotes. The reason you should do that is because we have a tool on our website that'll connect you with local car dealers in your area to get you the best price. It's also going to give you access to invoice pricing information, which is a great tool to use if you plan on doing dealership negotiation. You can find a link to that down below in our video description, as well as a pinned comment. There's even things like a monthly payment calculator on there, carconfections.com/newcarquotes. But what about Nissan's resale reliability and warranty? First up, let's talk about resale value. Nissan as a brand is rated at 50.56% of estimated retained value after 5 years and 60,000 miles, and after 10 years and 120,000 miles, 16.43%. Now, it's worth noting that that is a right at industry average resale value percentage. However, I do want to point out that rivals like the Toyota Tacoma are some of the best resale value vehicles that money can buy.
Now, when it comes to reliability, Nissan is actually well above the overall industry average when we collect the latest 2026 data.
Now, if you'd like to learn more about our resale reliability information or our methodology, be sure to go to carconfections.com where you can find all of that out. Now, when it comes to your warranty, you have a 3-year 36,000-mile basic warranty, a 5-year 60,000-mile powertrain. You do also get 2 years and 24,000 miles of complimentary maintenance. And guys, that's all for our in-depth review of the 2026 Nissan Frontier, this time in the new SV Dark Armor trim level. We really appreciate you watching, and we'd appreciate if you subscribe down below and become a part of our Car Confections family. If you haven't already, we promise you won't want to miss out on all the latest and greatest content that we post on this channel. If you're already a part of our family, thank you so much for your continued support. You make this all possible, and we'll catch you next time as we sample more of the latest automotive delicacies.